الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and may I wish you the greatest of greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have with me this evening a very distinguished gentleman. I don't think he needs further introduction to Maldivians right now. Dr. Abu Ameenah Bilal Philips, who has been gracious enough to come to the Maldives and enlighten us on certain aspects of Islam that I feel that this country needs. So instead of going into your background as a Muslim scholar or as even a human being, I think one of the best things to do would be to welcome you, Dr. Bilal, and may I call you my brother, to this country which happens to be, fortunately for all of us, 100% Muslim. And that's a rare thing in this world today. And because we are that, we take extra pleasure in welcoming you to this wonderful country of ours. My brother, please tell me a little bit about yourself and why you have come to the Maldives.
Well, of course, I'm originally from Jamaica, which, as some have asked me here, and we're not really familiar with where is Jamaica. I should just add that it is between North America and South America in the Caribbean Sea, and it's a small island, but it has quite a bit of notoriety in the West.
I think the only thing that we're familiar with is Bob Marley, but that's an entirely different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that usually rings a bell in some people's minds. I sometimes have to bring up Bob Marley to clarify where I'm coming from. But also, of course, in the sports scene now, the top 100-meter specialist, Usain Bolt, is Jamaican. You know, the top runners, the female runners right now in the Olympics and the world top sprinters are Jamaicans. So they have had a history of a presence on the world scale in athletics, in cricket also. This is another area.
And I read somewhere that you actually grew up in Canada.
Yes, my family migrated to Canada when I was quite small, so I didn't really remember that much of Jamaica, except after I went back and renewed my acquaintance with Jamaica. I got to know it better. But yes, I grew up in Toronto and finished my schooling there, but I went and moved to Malaysia with my family. They had moved there. My parents were both educators, teachers, and they were helping the Malaysians with their education system. And they spent about 5 years in Malaysia, in East Malaysia, and I lived there for about 3 years myself. Not a Muslim at that point in time.
Okay, when you became a Muslim at the age of 25?
Yes, after I went back to Canada to university, I majored in biochemistry in university and got caught up in student politics, went from Christianity into communism, because Christianity was really nominal Christianity. So communism would seem to offer opportunities to change the world and make things better. I got caught up in that for a while until I realized that it really didn't change things for the better. So I started looking again, and alhamdulillah, Allah presented Islam for me at that time, and I accepted it.
And here you are.
Yes, alhamdulillah.
And you've been to the Philippines, you work in the Arab world, and you've become an international personality. How do you feel?
Well, I mean, it's a great blessing to be in a position to be able to help convey the message of Islam to so many people. You know, it's when you've tried to do it on a small scale, and you compare that to being able to reach out to so many people in so many places, it's a wonderful feeling, you know, knowing that, you know, this is what God wanted for me, and it's a wonderful opportunity, and I just ask God to bless me for whatever good I've done through this channel.
Alhamdulillah. I have a focused topic this evening, by the way, and that's drugs. Sadly, something that has raised its ugly head in the Maldives would be the drug problem. Now, according to some experts, and some of them real experts, some of them self-styled, they keep saying that the drug problem is on the increase in the Maldives. Now, what would you say about the existence of such a problem in a country which is 100% Islamic?
Well, I would say that it is something which occurred even in the time of the Prophet. May God's peace and blessing be upon him. You know, even in his period where Islam dominated in the latter part of his life, I mean, there were people who were caught up in drugs. You know, it was alcohol in those days. So it is something which society can never really free itself from. But the main efforts should be to minimize the impact and to reform those who are caught up in it. You know, to tackle it effectively in these times, one needs to know, you know, what are the reasons, what are the causes which have led to it. But
I sometimes tend to think of some of the so-called reasons as excuses even. What would you say to that?
Well, I would say that ignorance of true Islamic teachings and its practice is a real reason. You know, it's not an excuse, it's a real reason. People not knowing, you know, Islam, as we said, though Maldives is a 100% Muslim country, but we have to say to a large degree this is nominal Islam. You know, where it's lip service Islam, meaning that people would say, if you ask them, are you Muslim? They would say, yes, I'm Muslim. But then if you look into their individual lives, to what degree has Islam impacted on their lives? We have to say it is, you know, it's quite limited.
But if you look at the mosques, they are full.
Well, I don't know if they're full, but I mean, the ones that I've prayed in, there are good numbers there. I do respect those numbers, and it's good, it's pleasing to see that. I've seen similar numbers in Chennai, in India, where Muslims are only 20% of the total population. You know,
right.
So full, not quite. You know, it hasn't reached that stage. I think there is an awakening to Islam in these recent last decade. You know, there's more of a consciousness, but there's still a long way to go for people to really get back to really what Islam is. You know, I've talked to educators here, those involved in the educational system of the country. You know, those involved in various levels of that educational system, and it's clear that the infusion of Islam into the educational system remains according to the colonial model of separation of religion from worldly affairs, you know, as the Christian statement says.
Would you cite that as one of the reasons for the drug problem, the separation?
I would cite it as one of the reasons, because that connection hasn't been made. We still have that separation. Islamic studies is something separate, and then we have our worldly studies. And worldly studies, for the most part, the globalized version, which we're practicing here, is has become demoralized. Morality has been taken out of it, and it's a secular system. So the moral foundation in education, which should be there in the Islamic educational system, is missing. So where that moral foundation is missing, people in times of need, emotional, psychological need, then they reach out for whatever is available. And if drugs are available, that's what they...